Unless I found it. Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you are in the world. We're streaming live across the world, and while we're waiting for you to come on board, give us a couple of minutes, and while we're waiting, you can relax yourself, turn off the TV, put your beer aside or whatever for a short while. We're going to talk a little about our journey. This is not a healing. This is a chat about our travels across the southern hemisphere for the past 5 years. And while you relax and wait, it's important to relax and to grasp what we've been doing. We got a lot of requests asking, when are you coming back to Ireland? Well, before COVID, we had 12 clinics in Ireland, all booked up for a year in advance. And we needed a lot of space, of course, for these open clinics and open days, because sometimes, most of the time, we would have either 200, 300 or 400 in attendance. And so hotels would have to accommodate us for parking, for food, for whatever was needed to run the outfit. And we did that successfully for many years. And I'd like perhaps some of you who've been in attendance in the past to drop us a text. Let us know that you're still around and appreciate the work we've done for you. We wanted to open a charity in Ireland to help those in need. We were quoted €12,000 to submit the forms to open that charity. Apparently, this procedure would take a long time, maybe a year to read the forms, and then any number of years to give the okay, if it was given. So we decided to take a different route. We decided to go to Africa with our charity, to Ghana. That's near the Cameroon. We'll show you some pictures now of the building that we support in the Cameroon. It's a community centre for 170 people. Now, these lovely people work very hard in their community to support themselves without perhaps too much contribution or help from the governments. You can see here the laborious work that the men and women are doing here. And they're glad of our input. They're glad to have the support that we give them, not just for the building program, but for food, for shelter, and for healing. It's also been suggested and mentioned that Nigeria is another area which is perhaps poverty-stricken and would like our help. I'll tell you a little more about our charity work in America a little later. But let's move from Africa to Europe, to the Caribbean, where we spent almost 2 years. We wanted to visit Haiti, but we were advised at the time that crossing the frontier was dangerous. And so we worked all over Dominican Republic. We worked in the most dangerous and hostile environments across the Southern Hemisphere, which I'll tell you about later. During our travels in the mountains and the jungles in Dominican Republic, we met up with a young man. This young man, like myself, heading for 80, I think, with the most severe and serious leg injury imaginable. A leg that perhaps should have been amputated 4 years previous to this, when he was involved in a serious accident. No health care, no food. Maybe we can show you his house. This is the first image. When we stopped the Jeep, and I just haphazardly stopped the Jeep, and this young man called me inside. The smell, the stench of his rotting leg was just about horrendous. We had no bandages in the Jeep at the time because one we're using was in for repairs, and I had to pull off some of my clothes to wrap this. He had no bandages of any kind. He used to clean this leg with a feather. And as we progressed and worked with him, we would have to drive perhaps for hours. No communications, no telephones, nothing. We worked with him Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Time didn't matter. On our way one day to visit this young man, we stopped for a bottle of water. And within a short while, people congregated around the Jeep. We had one man who was blind in one eye, where from an injury some years previous to this, and his sight came back. And of course, the word spread. The healer cured this young man's eye. Also, Philo, we call this guy Philo. And you'll see some of the photos here in the aftermath of some of the healing. And he would say in his Spanish, God sent you to me. And he'd also say, mucho carne. And you can see the difference in this leg. At that stage, we had to leave Dominican Republic and on to Cuba, where we worked with some people. And from there to Mexico. Dealing with the most serious illness imaginable, in the most horrendous conditions in the jungles, and meeting and treating people. We were introduced to another young man. He had a car accident, I think, at 17. He was in a wheelchair for 35 years and told he'd never walk again. Javier was a lovely young man. And treated us very well with respect. And these were people who were rodeo champions and had won many world champions in the rodeo field or world. Told he would never walk again. His family were all around. The video doesn't show this at the moment, but all the congrats and all the tears and all the emotions and what have you surrounding this young man's walking for the first time. That's his da standing on the right. And he gave me his prized possession. There it is. He was a champion for many, many years. And he appreciated our work very much. And so did his whole family. This is heavy, it's bronze. So I want to thank Javier and his family for this kind gift. Okay. Again, we had to travel throughout the southern hemisphere: Guatemala, Belize, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Chile, towards Tierra del Fuego on the tip of South America. And we left mountains and mountains of snow in the Andes. Took us almost a week to get out of there. A few years fast forward, we head to America. New York, where we spoke with our lawyers, our accountants, our IT people to open a charity to support people in need worldwide. So I want to thank some of our supporters there. Kieran and his family. I won't give you the surnames for now. With all his support. Neil and family. The accountants, Paul, and all those who helped in America. We also thank Godwin for his support. Support that we need to open our charity to help people across the world. What we didn't perhaps realize was that in America, it will probably cost us between 10 and 20,000 to pay off everyone for their work. But no regrets in that department. It's ongoing. A few months ago, we went to New York and from there to Canadian borders. Freezing cold in the falls, the Niagara Falls, where the water freezes before it hits the ground. So we were introduced to a young lady in her 80s with one of the most severe illnesses that you could imagine. Medics didn't make a diagnosis because of mutations. If you're squeamish, maybe don't look. Anyway, this is her leg. Been like this 2 years. All the treatment. Her family said it was getting worse. She said, we did everything to help. But The surround you see there, the white, that's a cream that she applied to the back of her leg. Later, we will speak with her family. I don't mean now later today, but maybe in a few days or a week, we'll speak with her family. They're French Canadians, and while they can convey their message, they don't speak English fluently. So we look forward to a video to show you the before and after. We worked on this leg for many, many days. And obviously working from a distance. This is her leg today. So from what we've just shown you, today, our treatment. Family was shocked at the improvements. Over the days and the weeks. What do you think, folks? We're dealing with other very, very, very serious illnesses across the world, from brain injury to spinal. And we're not claiming that we cure everything, no. People are happy to get behind their computer, or the keyboard warriors say, oh, this is fake. Well, everything is fake with some people. But none of this is, I assure you. We have hundreds, thousands, about 2,000 testimonials, which is just a spattering or a snippet of our work across the world. Some would say, but how does healing work? I can't see your work. Sorry, excuse me. But of course you can't see it. You can't see the air that you breathe either. I have a gift, a divine gift. The good Lord does the work. I'm the slave. I'm not a slave as such, but I do what I'm told. And of course, I make my own diagnosis of a situation, every situation, so that I can treat it accordingly. And I want to tell you, I don't tell fortunes. I don't make predictions. but I know what's wrong with you. And I treat you accordingly. I've been offered vast sums of money to teach my gift to others. I can't do that. The gift is in my family and has been for hundreds and hundreds of years, passed from male to female, female to male. That's how it works. I get requests from people to, excuse me, pray for them. Will you say a prayer for my son, for my daughter, for my... And of course I will do. But it takes a lot of work. And I mean a lot of work. Many hours, in fact, to work with serious illness, as I've shown you. Others tell me, oh, you shouldn't be charging for healing. It's God's gift. And I say, yes, of course it is, but I'm going to charge you for my time. Because when we pull into the gas station and it takes $100 to fill the Jeep, then the good Lord refuses to pay. He says to me, you pay. And that's fine with me too. We searched the many hotels across Ireland to look for accommodation that would support our work. There's none. They say, oh, overcrowding here, well, we can't accommodate you. Sorry. And yet, a few years ago, we had 12 clinics, all booked a year in advance. And now, 5 or 6 years later, there's nothing. We haven't got a venue that we can work with in. There is a property available, of course, that we can refurbish. It's been neglected for many, many years. And will take a lot of money to repair it. This could be our base. I can tell you more about that another time, perhaps. But isn't it strange? We can go to America, Africa, do our work, find a place to work without restriction, and yet in our own country, there's no accommodation to facilitate our needs. Any of you with any suggestions out there are welcome, of course, but we've tried. We can't get anything suitable so far. We've been invited to many countries across the world: Australia, New Zealand. We get calls from China, Singapore, Malaysia, Russia. Well, we can only be in one place at a given time. And for a young 80-year-old to flit across the world is demanding, to say the least. But the good Lord gives me the energy and the health to do what I'm doing. I want to continue with your help. If any of you have any questions, perhaps you would give us a text, an email, and any suggestions we would appreciate. Also, tell us a little bit, maybe about your experiences in some of the venues that we had across Ireland prior to COVID. We've worked in the hospitals across Ireland and the clinics. And our work is very much appreciated, but there's always a few people out there who want to destroy or try to destroy the work we're doing. Well, I suppose they don't matter really, but everyone is entitled to their views. But some people these days can't understand about healing. They can't understand how, from a distance of X thousand miles, that one can do this type of work. Well, maybe they don't understand metaphysics. Because if they did, they wouldn't be questioning what we're doing. In Ireland, many, many hundreds of years ago, people with a problem would go to local healers, whether it was to stop bleeding, to cure ringworms, to cure warts, to cure jaundice, or problems that they would have. And my old grannies and uncles would do just that. People would say, look, go down to old Mrs. Lennon there in the bog and she'll sort you out. Just as simple as that. But that's up to 200 years ago. So they would come that time with horses and carts and bicycles and even walking to get healed. Doctors weren't as plentiful as they are at the moment, and local healers were sought. And those of you who can remember all this era, they would say, well, look, none of these old healers charged for healing. Well, I know this at first hand. Well, they may not charge because there wasn't much money around. But some would help. Help with the hay, with the turf at the time. They would work for those old healers that they appreciated in the local communities. There was lots of work to do, and those who were able and in a position would do just that and consider that as payment. Things have changed. But what I say, you have to give before you can receive. I would like you perhaps to send in your texts, your queries, your ideas. And we appreciate all your support over the years. People often say to me, whom are you going to give your healing to? Because only one in the family, our family, can do this at any given time. I'm the one at the moment. And like I said earlier, I'm heading for 80. So I don't know. Later on, perhaps before Christmas, I'm going to do another little video on one of the most talented, intelligent, young autistic ladies that I have ever worked with. I want her mom or her parents obviously to come on board. This young 11-year-old is just about unbelievable. And so sometime before Christmas, perhaps, if her mum and dad agrees, we can have a video that will shock you. I'm not going to give names, obviously, because I haven't authority to do so. But depending on her parents, we may have to maybe blindfold those involved. But I'm not sure yet. Anyway, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you for all the support and all the help that we get from people across the world. We appreciate it more than you think. We look forward to your replies and to your questions. And thank you all and have a blessed day every day. Call me the Mahagod. Agus Slán.